You can't just use one form of communication when you're talking to candidates or clients. LinkedIn, you can see when they're online on LinkedIn. You can see that green dot that says that they're on there. There's a lot of talk about AI. And what I tell people is it's not going anywhere. You might as well learn it now. Just turn the resume over. Don't look at it. Just talk to the person.
Welcome back to Talent Hunters, where we explore insights and trends shaping the global recruiting and staffing industry. Want to build talented teams that drive your company toward big goals and big growth? Then this podcast is for you. And now, let's join the conversation with today's episode of Talent Hunters, brought to you by HireQuest. Connect with us at HireQuest.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Vince Holt, and I'm the host of Talent Hunters. And today, I'm excited to announce we have Jamie Close, the lead recruiter for HireQuest across all their brands located in Goose Creek, South Carolina. Jamie's been in the recruiting world for nearly 20 years. The last 7 has been with HireQuest. Once a month, she also hosts Tech Talks. She shares with the recruiters and anybody that wants to pay attention to it the newest technology and aids that help recruiters in all the divisions. Welcome, Jamie.
Thank you, Vince. I'm very excited to be here.
Love your smile. So, to get this thing kicked off, tell me just a little bit about what got you started in the recruiting world.
Well, I think like everybody, you fall into it. Especially back in the mid-90s when I was in school, it wasn't a career that anybody ever talked about. Hopefully now it's changed a little bit, but I went into like a retail position. I love that. And then a friend of a friend said, "Hey, come be a recruiter for me." And I'm like, "Sure." So, I did some hiring there. Hiring's a little different than recruiting, but at least I had a foundation there. And I worked for an amazing owner. It was an office very similar to like an MRI and executive search, but walked in and knew nothing. And she taught me everything. So yeah, I fell into it like most people.
You just described very succinctly how I got it. Spent 15 years in retail, fell into this they asked me what I thought about recruiting, and as long as it wasn't the military, I was good.
And the hours are better.
And the hours are a lot better, for sure. So what was it about corporate recruiting? Because you said you'd done some other recruiting too. What drew you to corporate recruiting?
Well, what was funny is I decided to move back to South Carolina, and I thought, I want to try the other side of the desk and slow down a bit. That did not happen because little did I know corporate recruiting in the staffing world would be as explosive as it has been for us with HireQuest the last 7 years. But I just wanted to just try the other side. Now, when I had done, I say hiring before because it wasn't on a multi-unit scale. It was just for one location. So corporate recruiting just sounded like a natural progression to learn the other side of the desk.
So you're involved with HireQuest hiring all across the country?
Well, it depends. The involvement's a little bit different. So yes, I'll hire all the corporate jobs here, but anything that has anything to do with the recruiting across all the brands, whether it be MRI, HireQuest Direct, Snelling, any of our family of companies, I just assist them in anything recruiting related, whether it be job descriptions. They can't find any candidates. Where should they go? So anything that is related to anything recruiting, I'll help them with. And what's so great is because I work across all the brands, you get different ideas from people. So that's the best thing I can kind of bring when we have such a large network like that.
So let me clarify just a little bit. Are you recruiting for HireQuest, or are you helping the individuals in the different offices to recruit for their jobs?
It depends. So we have lots of different programs where we assist. Let's say we'll talk about corporate staff for the branches. So we have programs that help MRI. We'll help them hire recruiters. We call it like recruiter programs. And then for some of our HireQuest Direct and Snellings, we assist them with sales reps or branch managers. It's a subscription service that we provide to them. And the thought process behind it is, we can take that off their desk. So they're actually, out there recruiting for their clients. And so they're great programs for them to be able to do that. But yes, I don't necessarily recruit individually for all of them. We do have some recruiters on staff that help them with if they participate in those programs.
Wow, I wish we would have had. I was a recruiter for nearly 40 years. And the hardest thing in the world was finding recruiters for my office, especially living in the Seattle area where everybody wanted $150,000 salary and work 2 hours a day.
Yes, I bet. I bet. It hasn't changed. Hasn't changed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now, something that you do every month is you host a program called Tech Talk. Tell me a little bit about that, please.
So recruiting Tech Talk, when our CEO, Rick Hermans, came up with this, he said, you're going to host Tech Talk, once a month, not fixing their printers, but talking about any new recruiting technology that's out there in the industry. And at first I was like, I know LinkedIn, I know Indeed, I know these, but we are in season 3, episode 2 now of our Tech Talks. So from the past few years, now I feel like I'm definitely an expert in all these different platforms and all the different types of them. It could be productivity platforms. It could be, job boards are job boards. There's not a ton of those, but anything else from AI, from how AI is being brought in to all these different job boards and ATSs. And we'll talk about, drip campaign marketing platforms, anything new that's come out. It's been explosive in this past couple of years.
So in the last, say, 6 months, what's excited you in what you're discovering in regards to technology?
I think all these platforms that help you do the drip campaigns, one thing we like to make the branches and the offices understand is you can't just use one form of communication when you're talking to either candidates or clients. You have to combine everything, whether it be email, phone, LinkedIn messages, text messages, and to use all this different variety of things. So there's a lot of job platforms out there that help you do that all in one.
So let's say I own an office. My people are complaining they can't get anybody on the telephone. Walk me through how you would coach them to start having good communications. That's
such a topic that's come up so much in the past few weeks. I'm old school. If somebody tells me to do something, I'm going to pick up the phone first. I'm not going to email. I'm not going to text. I'm not going to Teams. I'm going to pick up the phone. If they answer, great. It's all done. I think, you got to teach them, it's all about timing. You can call several times a day. You don't have to leave a message every single time you call. Kind of figure out, when the best time is to call. And like I was telling you earlier, if it's an internal thing, I look to see if their dot's red. Can't necessarily do that with somebody that's external, but, LinkedIn, you can see when they're online on LinkedIn. You can see that green dot that says that they're on there. So maybe that's a great time to send a message and say, hey, I want to do a quick call with you. So I think it's just that consistency of making sure you're making the phone calls consistent every week or whatever your schedule is for you to do that.
You just flashed over something I didn't know anything about. And I'll bet you the majority of the people that I've associated with in the MRI family don't know. When you're on LinkedIn, there's a green dot that says they're on.
Yes. So I think it's something they have to turn on, but, and I don't know if they're on mobile or whatever, but you'll see a little green dot by their name and that means, or in their messaging. And that means that they're logged in to the platform. Because the first thing I do every day is open up LinkedIn. Very first platform I open up. So I'm on it all day, every day, but sometimes you'll see that green dot. It means they're online or it's up.
We need everybody listening to your tech talk.
I don't necessarily talk about that on there, but we learn all kind of tips and tricks, with different things, and we try to get it out there with everybody.
Now, is the tech talk conversational, or is it just you talking about the newest?
A lot of it depends on the topic. Sometimes we do have a lot of engagement. If it's something, when AI first came out, tons of engagement, tons of questions here and there. Sometimes they just listen. What I really love is when you have one franchise owner ask a question about a platform and then another one comes in and tells them about their experience with it. Because mine's very limited. I'll do demos, I'll watch YouTube videos, and I immerse myself as much as I can in that platform. But it's great when you see that collaboration between the two offices, especially if it's across our family of companies and 2 different brands. So it kind of varies depending on the topic.
What do you work 20 hours a day? How do you do all this?
I thrive on chaos, Vince. Thrive on chaos.
Beautiful. That's a recruiter. So do us a favor, Jamie. Walk us through a typical day in the life of Jamie Close.
Oh, wow. No 2 days are the same. Um, it's funny because every day I come to work and I sit in my chair, I go, can't wait to see what I get into today, because you just never know what's going to happen. I try to schedule interviews at certain times of the day, and I try to leave my schedule pretty open between 9 and 2, because I know I'm going to have offices calling or some kind of challenge come up. So I try not to be too rigid. Like if I have a lot of calls scheduled in a day, I feel like I didn't get anything done, because I do get so many calls here and there. So again, it's just, it never looks the same. It's a lot of phone calls. It could be support, like I need help with welders, or it could be I need a recruiter, or it could be what platform is going to work best for me. So none of they don't look the same. It's just 90 to nothing from the moment I get in to the moment I go home.
Makes the day shorter, doesn't it?
No, yeah. They go by very quickly.
That's so cool. In the last couple of years, is there a time that stands out to you that you took a lot of pride in helping somebody solve a problem?
I can't think of one particular instance. I think it's just all those that you do add up, over time. And what I do love about this job is you go home and you do feel that sense of satisfaction that, I did help people today. I got so much accomplished today. It was a very productive day, not a busy day, a productive day. So nothing stands out in particular.
Okay, so you're wound up like a rubber band
Always.
all day long, pounding phone, answering questions, dealing with problems. Jamie, what do you do to unwind at night?
Well, I have a 9-year-old, and so I don't get to do that, because when I go home, then it starts, her name's Ava. It starts, taking care of Ava. So I am going from 5:30 in the morning till about 8:30 at night. And as soon as my head hits the pillow, I'm asleep.
Okay, so what do you do on the weekends?
We spend a lot of time outside. We do like to golf cart around our neighborhood. We go to a lot of parks and stuff. But her and I both are kind of like organizational freaks, I guess you'd say. We love to organize stuff. So she's the type of kid that no one's allowed in her room. Everything has to be in its place. So we enjoy doing that, which is odd, but that's just our favorite pastime.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. It really is. So as we look ahead in the professional world of recruiting, 3 years out, 5 years out, technology is just exploding now. What's your vision for the recruiting world over the next 3 to 5 years?
Well, I know there's a lot of talk about AI. And what I tell people is it's not going anywhere. You might as well learn it now, because it's just going to keep getting incorporated into everything. I'm not concerned that it's ever going to replace recruiters, because you're never going to be able to replace that human aspect and that relationship building with anything like it that's going to be an AI tool. I just keep seeing more efficiencies coming out more every year. And like some of the things that we have now with these platforms would take 3 or 4 people to do. So now one recruiter is almost like 2 or 3 recruiters. So I just see more platforms of productivity coming out like that. That's just going to help us automate some of those menial tasks, so we can just be more productive and work at a faster pace.
Okay, I'm an old guy. Technology was the threat of the fax machine when I started recruiting. We talk a lot about AI. My ignorance on AI is we're getting things out of AI that it's absorbing from everybody that puts stuff into. So what makes it authentic? How do you identify, how do you create AI authenticity to be powerful for you, for me, for the average recruiter? Any hints on that?
Yeah, you have to. So I use ChatGPT. Brittany Taylor in marketing calls it chatty, which is much easier to say. So if I say chatty, that's what I'm talking about. It's only as good as the prompts that you put in it. And you can sit there and say, I want this in a conversational tone. I only want 1 or 2 sentences. And I want this to sound, like it's coming from a real person, not something that you would see in a professional article. You just really have to know how to talk to it. And even then, you have to proofread it. You have to read it out loud to yourself. And a lot of these AIs will read it out loud for you, so you can kind of hear the tone of it. But that's the issue. And I think that's when it first came out, where people kind of got themselves in trouble, is they didn't check it. It was just copy and paste. Because LinkedIn, now when you're applying, you can send a message back to the hiring manager saying, hey, I got this. It's the exact same message everybody has. There's fillers in there they're supposed to fill in for the job, and they don't do it. So just because AI is helping you with it, you still have to pay attention. You still have to proofread it.
And see, this is my fear is I feel like your strength, my strength is the conversation, because they can hear us, they can hear our passion, they can feel us. My worry is AI doesn't generate me.
I get that. If you were to ask me what my favorite tech tool would be, it's always going to be the phone. And I know that sounds boring, but to me, that is my favorite tool. It will always be, and maybe because of the way I grew up, but I feel like too many times we try to get away from the phone.
I think you're absolutely correct. My experience is that recruiters, for the most part, not all, for the most part, newer recruiters tend to want to find the easiest way to make a contact because they don't want to hear no. And
Right.
and I feel that no is really the kickoff to really discovery.
Yes.
When you're evaluating candidates, what do you do differently or coach people to do differently to not just hear yes?
A lot of times when I'm interviewing a candidate, and I tell hiring managers this sometimes, just turn the resume over. Don't look at it. Just talk to the person. And one thing I do with them is I learned this in my first recruiting job is, what are the top 3 things you're evaluating in your next opportunity? So a lot of times before you're even telling them about the job, they're telling you what it is they're looking for. And that really helps you know automatically if it's a culture fit. Do we have the same goals? Because if they say growth is important to me and we know, there's not a lot of growth here, or if they say I need to be remote, we might be in an office place. So that, I think, is having those conversations up front before you automatically dive into a history of the company and all this, to kind of make it about them first. That really helps you get to know that person and not just hear the yeses.
So you just recently received a big award. Tell us a little bit about that, please, Jamie.
So one of our franchise owners, she gave me the Employee of the Month award. She owns about 20 different branches, maybe 4 or 5 different franchises. So I've worked with her since 7.5 years since I've been with HireQuest. So she made me Employee of the Month this month. So it's very exciting.
Don't take that lightly, because when other people acknowledge your achievements, that's meaningful, especially the people you work with every day.
Yes, it was very, very sweet. It was very unexpected. And I got my picture taken and everything, nice balloons and award and everything. I was very honored that she did that.
Well, Jamie, I want to thank you so very, very much for allowing me into your world and you being so transparent with me. It's really been a pleasure to get to know you. I hope we get to do this again sometime.
Yes, definitely. This was fun. Thank you so much.